We're going to take the factoring and move forward into solving. The steps are written. I'm not going to go through the steps because I'm going to show you how to do it, but you can go up there and read through those. The thing is we have to factor it all the way. If you don't factor it all the way, you're not going to be able to solve it correctly. So if we take a look at number 1, what can we do there? The only thing I can do is take out an x. So I'll pull out an x here, which is going to leave you with what? X squared plus 1, all equal to 0. So essentially at this point, nothing else factors. Are we in agreement there? There's no such thing as a sum of squares. Nothing else factors. So then I'm going to take each piece of this, and I'm basically going to take this and set it equal to 0. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it equal to 0, however many factors I have. This means x is 0, so we're good there. Here, I'm going to have x squared is equal to negative 1. What's going to happen when I take the square root of a negative 1 here? It's going to be imaginary. So I'm going to have x is equal to plus or minus I here. So I have 0 and plus or minus I. Which, if we look at this, this was x cubed. There's 1, there's 2 more right there. That's a total of 3. We've got them all. Everybody okay with that? All right. So if we take a look at number 2, what do we need to do here first? Can I factor it yet? Okay, what do I need to do then? Move everything to the same side so it's equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract my 3x squared so that I have 4x cubed. If I subtract 3 from there, that's going to give me minus 10x squared, all equal to 0. Now what can I do? Take out what? 2x squared. So if I take out 2x squared, that's going to leave me with 2x minus 5 equal to 0. We okay there? Yes? Okay, so when I set 2x squared equal to 0, technically I have to divide the 2 out. So many of y'all want to just stop there. You can't do that. So I've got to divide the 2 out here. So that gives me x squared is equal to 0, which means in my answer down here, I'm going to have a 0 with a multiplicity of 2. Is everybody okay with that? Because of x squared, that means 0 happens twice. Are y'all all right with that? All right, then here, when I set this one equal to 0, what's going to happen there? This is algebra 1, y'all. 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. What do I do? Move the 5 over. So 2x is equal to 5. Then divide by 2. This could go way faster. This is totally up to y'all. All right, so I've got 2 here and another one here. That gives me 3. Do I have them all? Yes, I do. Okay. All right, number 3. What do you see here? It is a difference of squares. Here's what you cannot do. Please hear me. You cannot move 64 to the other side and say the 4th root of 64. If you do that, it is wrong. You cannot do that. You have to factor it. All right, it is a difference of squares, which means I'm taking the square root of x to the 4th. What is the square root of x to the 4th? X squared. So I have x squared, x squared. I'm taking the square root of 64, which is what? 8. One of them's positive, one of them's negative. That's the only way that this works. Are we okay there? All right. Now I can set neither one of these factor any further. Everybody understand that they don't factor any further? So at this point, all I can do is set them both equal to 0. This one, when I set it equal to 0, my 8's going to go to the other side and be negative. When I set this one equal to 0, my 8's going to go to the other side and be positive. Are y'all okay there? All right, so now, when I take the square root of this, I've got to split my 8. So, what goes in my 2 square roots? Louder.
-4
4 and positive 2. We're going to put the negative with the perfect square that comes out. Is everybody okay with that? So when I pull this out, x is going to be equal to what? 2i squared root of 2. All right, this one, when I take the square root, it's the same stuff. It's just they're both positive. Y'all okay there? So I have x is equal to 2 square root of 2, plus or minus, sorry, and plus or minus 2i square root of 2, which is a total of 4. Everybody okay there? Questions on that one? All right, what about number 4? What can I do? Take out 5x, okay? So when I take out 5x, that's going to leave me with x to the 4th minus 16. All right, what am I going to do with x to the 4th minus 16? It's a difference of squares. So 5x stays, it still has to be there. All right, so this is going to be x squared and x squared. What's going in there? Plus 4 and minus 4. All right. Can either of those factor? Yep, this one does. This one becomes plus 2 and minus 2. Are we okay there? This one doesn't. So essentially I have 5x equal to 0, which is going to be a 0, right? Here I'm going to get a negative 2, and here I'm going to get a positive 2. Agreed? So the only thing I have to deal with is this one right here, which is going to look like this. So what does this become? Plus or minus 2i. Okay, so I have 0 plus or minus 2 and plus or minus 2i. I generally will write the imaginaries of the math. You don't have to, it doesn't really matter. Do we have them all? How do we know if we have them all? There should be 5. Does everybody understand that there should be 5? Everybody understand why there should be 5? Okay. All right. What is this right here? It's a sum of cubes. Guys, if there's only 2 terms, like the first thing you're checking is there a GCF? That's a leading coefficient of 1. There's nothing that can come out of there. This one doesn't have an x, and since this is cubed, like that's the only thing it could be. Does that make sense? All right, so this gives me x plus 5. Does everybody understand where I got x plus 5? Anybody not know where that comes from? Okay, then this gives me x squared minus 5x plus 25. Does everybody understand how I got that? We remember the pattern. Okay, now this one right here is pretty straightforward. We know this is going to be negative 5. Everybody okay there? Okay, so here's the problem that we have at this moment. Is that trinomial back there will not factor. Because I told y'all when we take the sum of cubes or the difference of cubes, the trinomial that's left over won't factor. So the only options you have for solving that quadratic are either completing the square or the quadratic formula. So which one is probably easier in this case? The quadratic formula. Why is completing the square not nice here? Because 5's not even when we take half, it forces a fraction. So since 5's not even, I would do the quadratic formula. Y'all okay with that? All right, so we've got negative b, which gives us a double negative 5 there, plus or minus negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 25 all over 2 times 1. So I've got 5 plus or minus, this gives us a negative 75 in here over 2. What can I do with 75? How's it split? What perfect square goes in there?
25.
25, and I'm gonna put the negative with the 25, and the 3 stays. All right, so when I have negative 25, that's gonna be what? Plus or minus 5i. Everybody okay there? Okay, so I've got 5 plus or minus 5i over 2. Can I do anything with that? I cannot. Now, if this denominator down here was 5, then I could, right? But I can't do anything with that. Oh, square root of 3. Everybody okay there? All right, so that's those two. So I have x is equal to, I've got a negative 5, and then I've got those two there. That's all of them. Y'all okay there? All right, what about 6? Gotta move the 4x squared over first. So I've got 8x to the 5th. When I move this over and subtract it, that gives me plus x squared equals to 0. Now what do? I take out the x squared, which is going to leave me 8x cubed plus 1. We've got to have the 1. All right, what do you see there? This one's nice. I have 0 twice. That's taken care of. I don't have to worry about that part anymore. What about 8x cubed plus 1? What can I do with 8x cubed plus 1? It's x cubed. What are you hoping it is? Is it? It absolutely is. You've got to recognize it. Like, I can't help you see things. You either can see it or you can't. But what I'm telling you is if you have a binomial that's probably one of your specials, like, I don't even know any other way to say that other than say that's most likely what it is. Can I promise you that's what it is every time? No, I can't. But it's x cubed, and 8 is a cube, and 1 is a perfect everything. I can take any root I want to of 1. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so if that is a sum of cubes, then what goes here? What's the cubed root of 8? What's the cubed root of x to the 3rd? What's the cubed root of 1? Still 1. Okay, so what is this here? How do I get this number? It's going to be 4x squared. What's the sign here? Negative 2x plus 1. Like y'all, you say you understand and you know it, yet y'all can't seem to tell me what goes there. And y'all are going to do this on your own. What is this going to become when I solve it? Negative 1/2. Okay, so now I'm in the same situation that I was in earlier. Not a whole lot I can do with this. And I probably would not do completing the square since there's a 4 out front. Just because it's not necessarily any faster to go that route unless this is even and that's a leading coefficient of 1. If that's the case, it's pretty quick. But if it's not, quadratic formula is probably still faster. Does that make sense to y'all? Alright, so I've got double negative 2 here, plus or minus square root negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 over 2 times 4. So it looks like 2 plus or minus, that's going to give us a negative 12 underneath there. Okay, so how is that going to split? Say again? Negative 4 and 3. Square root of negative 4 is going to be plus or minus 2i. Alright, so this comes out to be 2 plus or minus 2i root 3 over 8. Can I simplify that thing? I'm gonna say this, I can, by what? By 2. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and write my answers down here. I've got x is equal to 0 with the multiplicity of 2. I have negative 1/2. And then I have, when I take this and I divide everything by 2, because that's what I'm dividing by, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 again is 1, which has an I with it. Square root of 3 over 4. And now I have them all. Are we okay there? Okay, let's take a look at this one. What is it? It's a difference of cubes. Alright, so I've got, what goes in my first parentheses? Mm-hmm. Minus what? Y'all better learn your cubes. This can take you forever. Alright, when I solve this, it becomes what? Positive 6. Alright, so I'm going to do this one by completing the square. Okay? So when I complete the square, remember my 36 is going to the other side. Y'all okay there? Here's the deal. You can do whichever method you want. I'm just going to do it by completing the square just to remind y'all how to do it. Okay? So I've got x squared plus 6x plus the blank is equal to negative 36 plus the blank over here. We good there? Alright, so then I'm going to take half of 6, which is 3. I'm going to square it, which is 9. I'm going to put it in my blank. So on the other side, I have a negative 36 and a positive 9, which gives me a negative 27. We okay there? Alright, then I can take the square root of both sides. So over here, what happens is I just have x plus 3. Are we alright with that? Over here, then I've got to split that 27, which is going to be negative 9 and positive 3. We alright there? So then this over here, when I take, this is going to give me plus or minus 3i. So I've got plus or minus 3i root 3. Are we okay there? Then I've got to subtract my 3 to the other side. And I've got to put it in the front out here. It does not go to this 3 here. We don't attach them. Y'all remember that? Okay. So what I end up with is, here's my 6 that was down here. When I subtract this to the other side, I have negative 3 plus or minus 3i root 3. That's how I'm going to write that. Y'all remember how to write those. That's the only reason I really worked that example. We can't put the 3's together. This is plus or minus. So when this comes over here, it's an addition, and I can't actually add it because the other one has an I and it has a root attached. Are y'all okay there? Okay. Number 9. This, you can factor this just like you would a quadratic, because this is a 4 and this is a 2. So when I factor that though, I'm going to have x squared. Signs are different, right? So I'm going to have plus 7 and I'm going to have minus 6. Y'all okay with that one? So then, neither one of these factors any further, so I'm going to set them each equal to 0 and take the square root. Does that make sense? So here, I'm going to have x squared equals negative 7. And here, I'm going to have x squared equals 6. When I take the square root of this one, all I can do is pull the I out. Does that make sense? So this is going to be plus or minus I root 7. This one is just going to be plus or minus the square root of 6, because I can't do anything with the 6. Are y'all okay there? And that takes care of all 4. Questions on that one at all? Or y'all are good? Okay. What about 10? Yeah, I'm going to move everything. I'm going to move this to the left because I want my biggest thing to be positive. Does that make sense? So which direction you really go doesn't always matter, because you're going to get one side empty and have it be 0. But I want my leading value to be positive, so I don't have to factor out the negative. Does that make sense still? Okay, so when I add that over to the other side, that's going to give me 10x to the 4th. And it looks like minus 10. So what's the only thing I can do there? Take out 10. So when I take out the 10, that's gonna give me x to the 4th minus 1. What is that? Difference is what? Squares, yeah. So my 10 is still there, and essentially it's gonna drop anyway. So then I've got x squared plus 1 and x squared minus 1. And yes, this factors to plus 1 and minus 1. If I needed it factored all the way, that's gonna equal -1, that's gonna equal +1. This one is gonna end up like this. Are y'all okay that that's what happens there? Okay. Now essentially when I set 10 equal to 0, because there's no x with it, that 10 drops off. Does that make sense? Because if I look at this like this, I would have 10 equals to 0, which is not true, so it's just gone. There's no x there to divide out. Everybody okay there? So this is gonna give me plus or minus I right here. So I have positive -1 and positive -I, which gives me all 4. Questions on that at all? Okay, so let's switch to your other page. Alright, take a look at, most of these are a lot of repeated things. I just wanna make sure that we're okay. Let's look at 13. So what do we need to do on 13? I'm gonna move the 16 over, so I've got 3x to the 4th minus 2x squared minus 16 equals to 0. Okay, so this is gonna work like a quadratic, yes? Okay, so if this was just x squared and x, what would you do? Because there's not a GCF that you can take out here, so what will we need to do? Yeah, you're gonna have to slip and slide it. Yeah, we're gonna put it in 2 parentheses, but we're gonna have to slip and slide it to do that. So we're gonna have x to the 4th minus 2x squared minus 48. Now I can put my 2 parentheses there. I just wanna make sure I touch a little bit of everything today so you've seen all of it. So this will be x squared, this will be x squared. 48 will be 6 and 8. 8 being the negative, 6 being the positive. Are y'all okay there? But I gotta pull the 3 back out. So put my 3 there, which means this is gonna be x squared plus 2. This one, what I would do, since we're actually solving it, I'm not gonna push the 3 back up because I'm gonna have to get rid of it anyway. Does that make sense? So this one is gonna be x squared then minus 8/3 equal to 0 for solving purposes. And I'm gonna end up having to finish this one over here. Alright, so this is just gonna be plus or minus I square root of 2. This one's not really a big deal. This one's gonna give you a little bit of an issue. Alright, y'all ready? Because I'm gonna have to go into this box over here. When I take the square root of both sides, this means the square root of 8 over the square root of 3. You have to separate them out. Are we okay there? Alright. You are not allowed to have a radical in the denominator. So we have to get rid of that out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3 to get rid of it. Are we okay there? Alright, so 8 times 3 is going to be what? What's 8 times 3? 24. When I do the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, it just becomes 3. Are y'all okay that it becomes 3? Okay. Now I'm going to simplify my 24, which would be 4 and 6. Are y'all okay there? So the square root of 4 and the square root of 6. Square root of 4 is 2. So what I have there is plus or minus 2 square root of 6 over 3. Y'all okay there, that's what we get? Any questions on that? I just wanted to make sure I reminded y'all what happens when you have a radical in the denominator, because we hadn't seen that in a while. Any questions on anything we've seen so far? I've got one of these are 4-term ones. It doesn't matter which one we do, but I do want to make sure I do one where we have to factor by grouping and solve that. Okay? Do y'all care which one? 16? Okay. Alright, so I'm going to split it right here. So what is the GCF that I have in this first part? X squared, which is going to leave you with 2x minus 3. Are y'all okay there? Alright, so then over here, I need this to also be 2x minus 3. Does everybody understand that I need them to match? It doesn't mean it's happening twice. It means I need them to match. Yes? What can I take out that would make this, what 32 divided by what would give you 2? Huh? 16. All right, so I know it's going to be 16. 48 divided by 16 also gives me 3, right? So I know it's got to be 16. I've just got to figure out what the sign would need to be. So if this is a positive 48, but this is a minus 3, what does that mean here? It'd have to be negative. Is everybody okay there? Because usually the number, it's the sign that gives you a little bit of an issue, so you have to be careful with that. All right, now, these two become a factor. This is where some of you messed up the other day. So now I've got this. This one's not a problem. This is going to become positive 3/2. Are we okay there? This one, technically, it's a difference of squares, but since it's square, I can take my 16 to the other side. Are we okay there? Which gives you plus or minus 4. So x is plus or minus 4 and 3/2 on that one. Are y'all okay with that when we have 4 terms?